Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first of CSW Group's series of webinars, Inspiring Futures. So we're running these every day this week, and each session is going to cover a different part of career choices and employability to help young people understand their options and hopefully get all the help they need to enter the world of work. So today we'll be hearing from my colleague, career development consultant Romy Lavis. Romy's going to be talking about apprenticeships. As you are listening, there is a Q&A box in Zoom. You're welcome to enter any questions you like, and we'll deal with as many as we've got time to deal with at the end. There will also be an email address that we'll share at the end if you want to submit your questions that way. So for now, without further ado, I will hand you over to Romy.
Okay, thanks, Ollie. So as Ollie said, this is the first session from the Inspiring Futures webinars. I am just, there you go, sorry. Yeah, this is the first session from the Inspiring Futures series of webinars about apprenticeships, and there is a list of all the different webinars that are happening this week that I'll show you at the end of this presentation. So it's really important to remember to keep your options open about the future. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to explain the range of jobs available and apprenticeships, the different levels, how you find an apprenticeship, and what you need to do to start searching and applying. The reason we're covering this topic is because at some point in the future, you may want to consider applying for an apprenticeship. So it will be important for you to understand what an apprenticeship is and the range of subjects and levels that they cover. Through this presentation, you'll be given enough information to truly understand apprenticeships so that you can consider them as an option after leaving school, college, or sixth form. So what is an apprenticeship? Lots of people get confused about apprenticeships. It's probably because they've been around for hundreds of years, but they have changed a lot in that time. You will earn a wage, and it can be a really good salary too. We'll talk more about money later on. You'll work for at least 30 hours a week as an apprentice, and this will include paid time to complete your studies. The employer will invest their time and money in helping you to gain work-based qualifications and valuable new skills and experience. You'll be given real responsibilities and expected to work hard, just like anyone else in the company. You'll also be supported by a training provider who will help you achieve your qualifications and make sure you complete your apprenticeship. Because it's a proper job, you will also have a contract of employment, including holiday pay, exactly the same as any other member of staff. It's important to understand an apprenticeship is a real job with a real employer. You'll spend time working alongside other people and learn from their experience. All apprenticeships are for a minimum of 12 months. It's important to remember that apprenticeships aren't the easy option. Holding down a full-time job and studying takes a certain skill, and it's not right for everyone. So how do I find an apprenticeship? So the best place to start looking for an apprenticeship is on the Find Apprenticeship website. So if you just Google Find an Apprenticeship, it'll come up as the first link. It's an official government website. So once you register, you'll receive an account activation code by email. After activating your account, you are ready to start applying for apprenticeship vacancies. Have a look at the different jobs that are being advertised. Remember, this is a live job site, so it may be that you need to try a few different searches or to broaden how far you're prepared to travel to find jobs that you might be interested in. As I noted earlier, it's important to remember that it's expected that the number of vacancies will have reduced over this period because of the pandemic, whilst employers are reviewing how they can best support their existing staff and when and how it would be best and safe to begin recruitment again. However, as I said, this is expected and so please don't be disheartened if you take a look and can't find anything immediately or in the coming weeks. Typically, there will be lots of options for you to choose from, and many employers are up and recruiting again and will be in the future. Just to give you some very up-to-date information, on the Find Apprenticeship website, on the 22nd, or week beginning the 22nd of February this year, there were 1,747 apprenticeship vacancies. The week beginning the 1st of March, there were 1,921. And the last week, 8th of March, beginning the 8th of March, there were 2,522 apprenticeship vacancies posted on the Find Apprenticeship website. So they're starting to go up, which is a good thing. Start applying for jobs that interest you. You need to remember that typically some of the bigger companies will advertise quite early in the year, so in the autumn term, for apprentices to start the following September. So please don't leave it until the last minute, or you might be disappointed to have missed a great opportunity. Recruitment timeframes may have changed this year, so it will be important to stay on top of these. A great feature on the Find Apprenticeship website is the alert system. So you can let the apprenticeship or Find Apprenticeship website do all the hard work for you. You can manage your alert settings so that you receive text messages and emails when jobs come up that you might be interested in. Okay, so where else can you look for an apprenticeship? So whilst the Find Apprenticeship website is a great place to start looking for an apprenticeship, it's not the only place. If you've a particular employer in mind where you want to find out if they've got any apprenticeships, you can visit their website and see if you can sign up for recruitment alerts or if they send out a newsletter. Make sure you follow their career pages on social media using Facebook, Twitter and Instagram too, as they'll probably use this as a way to promote their vacancies. This will be more important for staying on top of alerts and updates about recruitment whilst the impact of the coronavirus pandemic is ongoing. Employers will be using these platforms to update potential applicants. We've spoken to lots of apprentices, and quite often they say that they actually heard about their job through a family member or friend. So make sure you tell everyone you can think of that you're looking for an apprenticeship, and you never know what might come through. There are lots of other job search websites out there, including Vacancy Snapshot, where you can flick through online interactive profiles for some of the UK's top apprentice employers. Definitely spend time looking into the different types of employers. There'll be a real mix from your local council who might have a jobs page for young people through to a bigger recruitment sites too. So there are many ways apprenticeships can be delivered. It will differ depending on the organisation and also the training provider delivering the apprenticeship. For some apprenticeships, off-the-job learning is delivered at work. This means a tutor will come into the workplace to teach you independently. Another method of delivery is attending college or a local training provider. You might attend once a fortnight or once a week with other apprentices who work for other companies in the local area. These options both vary at the moment due to social distancing guidelines. Many apprentices also find that they'll carry out some learning through online learning, which has increased over the pandemic. What's the role of the training provider? So the key role of the training provider is providing off-the-job training, assessing the progress towards achieving qualifications and supporting apprentices generally during the apprenticeship. They work very closely with employers to ensure that the apprentice achieves an induction programme on starting, a detailed training plan, including on-the-job training, regular progress reviews, opportunities to put into practice off-the-job learning so that they can achieve their qualifications, mentoring and general support throughout the apprenticeship. The training provider also works with the employer for your final assessment to ensure that you can do the job that you have been training for and that you're competent in it. So how much will I get paid? So the first thing to remember that as an apprentice, you get paid a salary. Many people think that apprentices are low paid, and this can be true depending on the employer. Legally, an employer must pay an apprentice the national minimum wage for apprentices, which is currently £4.15 an hour. This is lower than the normal national minimum wage, but it recognises that some people will be going into their first job with no experience at all. The good news is that lots of employers pay a lot more than the national minimum wage for apprentices. So there are 4 different levels of apprenticeship. Level 2 or intermediate is roughly the equivalent to GCSE level. Then you've got level 3 advanced apprenticeships, which are equivalent to A level. Then you have foundation and higher apprenticeships. They're equivalent to a foundation degree. And then there are degree level apprenticeships, which speak for themselves. The level of apprenticeship you start at will depend on the kind of job that you're applying for. It's really important not to be held back by only looking for a particular level, e.g. degree apprenticeships, because it may not be that you need to start at advanced or higher level and work your way up. Doing a job is completely different to getting a GCSE or A level, and that's why it's a bit confusing. So the range of apprenticeships. When we talk about apprenticeships, people often start to think of plumbing, electrical, and some of the other construction trades. There are many brilliant apprenticeships in these areas, but there are also hundreds of new apprenticeships in exciting areas that you might not know exist. The range of apprenticeship job roles out there is amazing. This slide gives you an idea of the huge range of apprenticeships available, and this is just a taster. You could also start an apprenticeship in hundreds of occupational areas. Some will amaze you. So this slide shows a range of employers offering apprenticeships. There are familiar logos there for big companies in England who recruit apprentices. Some of these employers may not be recruiting currently, but you'll be able to track their recruitment updates on the websites and social media. Around 50% of apprenticeships started with large companies like the ones shown on here, so Google, the Cabinet Office, etc. But 50% will be with smaller local companies. It can be tempting to think that the best apprenticeships are just with the big well-known companies, but many of the smaller employers have absolutely brilliant schemes that enable fast-track career progression for their apprentices. So it's really important to do your research and not ignore smaller companies because they can be just as good. So an example of a local company could be Puffin's Childcare, Gershwin's Hair, Centrax Gas Turbines, to name but a few. So traineeships. Traineeships are education and training programs run by colleges and training providers that prepare young people aged 16 to 24 to progress onto an apprenticeship, employment, or further learning like a college course. Part of the apprenticeship covers preparing for work, developing your skills, so things like timekeeping, interviews, CVs, teamwork, and confidence building. A work placement is set up to gain some serious practical experience related to your job interests with a real employer. Maths and English are taught in a practical way linked to real life, everyday situations. The traineeship can last between 6 weeks and 12 months. And I've included a link to the government website for more information about apprenticeships. So, supportive internships. Supportive internships are for young people aged 16 to 24 with a disability and who have an education, health and care plan, or EHCP. There are no entry requirements for supported internships. They're for 1 year normally, and it's work experience with support. They can sometimes lead to an apprenticeship or employment, and all further education colleges, sixth form and independent specialist providers can offer supported internships. So check with your local college. You'll be involved in planning your study and have a tutor, an expert job coach to work with you and the employer for the duration of your internship. So apprenticeship adjustments and support if you have a disability, so inclusive apprenticeships. The need to achieve English and maths at level 2 might be changed to entry level 3 if you have an EHCP and meet the occupational standards of the job but might struggle to achieve the English and maths qualification because of your disability. There's an access to work grant that pays for special equipment, adaptations or support worker services to help you do things like answering the phone or going to a meeting and helping you get to and from work. Again, there's a link for more information about that I've included here. So, volunteering and work experience. Many apprentices have moved into roles through volunteering and work experience. So you get the chance to try something to find out if it's what you definitely want to do as a possible future career or not. Employers often are really impressed by people that have done some work experience or volunteering, so it shows them that you've used your initiative. There's a range of volunteering opportunities on the Be Inspired and Do It All websites that you might want to have a look at, just to give you an idea of what's out there at the moment. And you can do it by where you live or so many miles from your postcode. So there are national and local volunteering opportunities on there. So finally, these are the other Inspiring Futures webinars that are taking place every day this week. So if you haven't already signed up to any of them, it's not too late to do so. And if I can just thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you found this apprenticeship presentation useful, and all the very best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Romy. That was a really, really good, very informative presentation. So I'm just looking to see if any of the attendees got any questions. Can't see any there at the moment, but one common question that we hear from young people, and that's particularly true at the moment with the way that the pandemic has impacted apprenticeships, like you said, is if I want to do an apprenticeship, say after school or after college, but I have trouble finding the apprenticeship I want, what's the best thing for me to do?
Okay, so it's the best thing to do is have a look on the Find Apprenticeship website, or ask family and friends or any other contacts you may have that might be able to help you. Obviously, you know, if you're in school, you can ask your careers teacher, etc., for some help, or obviously we can help with helping you find employment. So a good place to start would be the Find Apprenticeship website. You don't necessarily have to register with it straight away, but you can use it just to have a look and see what's out there. Another way, if you're not quite ready to start an apprenticeship, is to possibly sign up for a traineeship, as I mentioned earlier, which will give you some work experience and more employability skills. so that you're able to progress hopefully onto an apprenticeship.
Thank you, Romy. And that could be a good backup plan as well. And particularly if you're a young person perhaps, that needs to gain that work experience, which all employers are telling us they're crying out for, I think a traineeship is a really, really good option. Okay, so thank you very much for attending today. We really appreciate it. If anybody's got any questions they don't want to ask live just now, that's the email address for the CSW Group career question address. It's careerquestion@cswgroup.co.uk. Send any questions you'd like through there and we will email you directly to respond. Other than that, thank you very much for attending today, and we hope to see you at future sessions.